nonsense, the center, with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, family and friends, enemies, adversaries, and opposition. This is DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. More important than that, you can check us out at OTW2.com. That's OTW2.com, where a lot of the more controversial things get placed. Let me see who's in the building. BB48 Straight Black Pride, the brother Elijah. BB48 Straight Black Pride, the Eshu Ogun. Greetings to Asafo. BB48, you got ripped off. BB48 Straight Black Pride, the brother Kevin. BB48 to the Crow. BB48, the Real Black Gentleman. And BB48 to Sister Farnessa. Because for a moment, I was like, I don't see any sisters. And BB48 to Sister Simone. So I was wondering, I was like, are the sisters mad because they think I'm going to talk bad about Kamala tonight? That's why they ain't showing up. I know what was going on. So, y'all give me a mic check real quick before I get started. Yeah, this is not what I planned to do. This was not what I was planning to do a show on tonight. But what we thought would happen has happened, at least one part of it. So, we're going to discuss it. Also, just to let y'all know, I plan to do a show on, appreciate that, brother. Plan to do a show on Tuesday and Thursday of this week as well. Thursday will be a different time. I'm going to experiment with in fact, it'll be a different time. It'll be a different show. So, and y'all tell me whether or not you think it's a good idea, and then we can get into tonight's discussion. The plan is right now, and I'm gonna test run it for 2 weeks and then probably get into it in September, depending on what's going on. The plan is right now to do a show once a week dealing strictly with Black male-female relationships. And this will be, it'll be later night, so it'll probably be 10 p.m. Now, I was told that, and also the difference on this will be, I'll invite some guests. We'll do some guests and some panels and stuff like that. I got some people I got my eye on as far as like some therapists and some other quote unquote experts. And then we'll have some married people as well who are really the real experts. If you imagine staying married in this environment for more than 10 years, you're the real expert on this. So we're going to talk about, dating and basically Black dating and Black mating. So if anybody, that seems like something you find interesting or would be interested in, y'all let me know. Y'all put a one in the chat on that. Also, should I announce this now? Okay, I'll just say this. The brother said, he already said, he's like, I'm an expert. He's at 18 years together, 16 married, brother. I am hey, first, give that brother some clap emojis for that, because that's impressive. Let's just be honest. That's impressive. In this environment, in this day and time, with the amount of I don't even know the word vitriol between the genders. It's just insane. So if y'all think that seems like something y'all be interested in, y'all let me know. But that we're gonna start with that this Thursday. Look, here comes the brother with the negative. He's like, man, come on, man, don't have any Negroes on. We have. I just floated the idea. He's like, come on, man. Come on, brother. I would do my best to vet people, you know. When I reach out to people, there's a set of rules that we're going to have. First of all, let's just say this. I'm just be completely honest. There is nothing. I'm trying to think. Is it nothing? There are very few things that turn me off to a woman more than her calling black men the N-word. Like, there's a lot of things I don't like. Y'all, if you know me, you know some things I don't like. I don't know what it is, but a woman that just throws around the N-word in reference to black men, it makes me want to vomit. I'm just being completely honest. So, in fact, greetings to the ISP. I might have the ISP on one of those. On one of those ISP. I don't know if you heard it, but I said I'm do a totally different show from the center on the plan right now. Once a week, Thursday nights, probably like 10. So it's gonna be late. So, you know, if you're not one of those people that got one of those Friday jobs where you don't have to really show up or whatever, then you might miss it. Before they to protect black children. The plan is dedicate that strictly to black male-female relationships, dating, marriage, all that thing. It's going to be on the same channel, but it's going to be a different program. Y'all know I like to float different ideas. I was told that Omawale Africa had already did something similar. when I broached the idea to the people, I was like, oh. But if you've been around me, or if you have followed me, you know that's something I spoke on a few times on a few platforms. So weirdly enough, I got kind of known for it for a while. So that's that. Also, I need one more thing from y'all. Oh, I didn't. Okay. I'm going to put up the convention flyer. If you haven't seen the convention flyer, I did post it on Instagram, but I will post it on YouTube in the community page. I'm trying to see how to make that available. I'm not sure I'm going to put that directly on the YouTube page. What I might do is use the StreamYard feature for events. I will let you all know by the end of the month. And I'll let y'all know if people can donate to that. That'll be cool. But like I said, I'll let y'all know the end of the month how that goes. I got to figure that out. So, Brother Crow says, make your skin crawl when sister throws around the N-word. Yeah. So that, those are now. Oh no, actually, those aren't the announcements. Yeah, because I forgot. Straight Black Pride. The Straight Black Pride 10th annual convention is on Garvey Day this year, August 17th. I believe it's 2 p.m. 2 to 6, 2 to 7. I need to actually be looking, but I'm telling you all that. And if you attend in person, it's free. Trying to see how to make it free as well. via the live stream. Brother Genie will be speaking. Brother Darren Muhammad will be speaking. And it's possible it's someone else y'all know, maybe making a presentation on Memorandum 46. So, all right. So that's that. So why are we here? Well, earlier today, as I believe Brother Jenny predicted, and it's weird, I was going through that video the other day, and I was about to put some clips up. This week, some clips from some things that Brother Jenny did at the end of the month. Different clips will go up. And to be completely honest, I had something else I was thinking about doing, but I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. So if y'all wondering, hey, why didn't you send out the notification on Instagram earlier? Because I didn't know what I was going to do. And, ironically, I was talking to Brother Genie. I'm trying to remember. I think like as soon as I hung up the phone, they're like, Joe Biden drops out the race. I was like, wait, what? And so I was watching the news and what they were saying. It was everywhere. And so I said, all right, well, let me talk about this. Even though when I look back, like literally 2 shows ago, I talked about it. And so I just like, well, might as well talk about it again because everybody's going to talk about it. So here we are. And here we go. Let's just get into it. It says Joe's out, Kamala's in. This from Politico. Y'all know Politico is one of my go-to sources. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't even see this. It says New York Dem candidates in swing districts don't immediately endorse Kamala Harris. So here's the thing. Actually, I forgot that this is running live, so they're putting up new articles related to this as we speak. So let me go back to Joe's decision. And here we go. Now, you know what? Hold up. My bad. Y'all got it. A lot of this is late breaking. Let me go back here. Remember this? Biden said he might leave office if I had some medical condition that might emerge. Let me tell y'all something. That was kind of the hint. Now, I don't know if that was the hint. Because remember, Biden was like, unless the Lord Almighty himself comes down, I'm staying in the race. And then next thing you know, a few days later, he's like, well, unless something medical happens, I'm staying in the race. And then the next thing was, yeah, I'm sick. Remember, he just tweeted, I'm sick. And he had COVID, and then now he's out of here. Now, I'm just going to do speculation here. I have no information, documentation, anything. Y'all know I don't really like to speculate, but I'm speculating right here. This sounds like one of those things where you say, unless I have a medical condition, and then people tell you, we can arrange for you to have a medical condition. You understand what I'm saying? And then they start telling you about, how comfortable your life can be, or not so comfortable, or maybe not so, Joe, you're kind of at the end of your life. You don't want to strain yourself too much. You never know what could happen. You know what I'm saying? It seems like one of those things. Because it seemed like he was definitively just completely resistant to the idea. And then next thing you know, he's like, bam, I'm out of here. So, and what was weird is initially, Biden did not say, hey, everybody get behind Harris. It was like, I'm out the race. And then it was almost like somebody said, you forgot to endorse Kamala. And he's like, oh, yeah, my bad. Wait, hand me my phone or whatever he uses for Twitter. So Oh, all right. Let me start with this. Let me start with the letter. My bad. I'm all over the place right now. Says this from today. Joseph R. Biden Jr. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. I'm going to read this without my commentary because y'all know me. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. Never mind, I'm not going to read this without my commentary. First of all, over the past 3.5 years, we have had incredibly rampant inflation. It's just unbelievable. Greetings to Lee Clinton. So just stop the lies. I think the thing I hate most about politics is just the blatant lying, just ridiculous, because ridiculous lies make me feel like you think that I'm an idiot. You know what I'm saying? As if I didn't live through the last 4 years. But I digress. Said, we've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. Let's stop right here. Be completely honest. This is cap. Again, look, the American healthcare system is in shambles. I'm not blaming it on him. It was a shambles before he got here. But him and Obama and all that, they could have done something about this for years ago. It's just in a shambles. And the fact of the matter is, even when you have healthcare and, it's part of your job and things like that, you don't really realize till something happens. Like, you have to use it. Like, how much random stuff is. You're like, hey, man, I can buy Band-Aids at home. You're like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, this is crazy. You're like, what, take these pills at this price? Can I find this somewhere else? So the idea that you just, man, anyway, that's my personal experience. Let me get back to the letter. Let's see. We provided needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances. Passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. Appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court. And passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. All right. First of all, Ketanji her husband is not black, so that makes her not black. That makes her half black. Like, when you marry outside of your race, 50% of your blackness just gets deleted right there. You know what I'm saying, man? Y'all know how much I love Serena Williams. 50%, like, we physically see 50% of her blackness just leave her body. Like, she don't even look like the same person. So that means nothing. Climate change. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. That's just part of the whole globalist hat agenda. And let's see. What else do we have here? Gun safety law. Okay, you say so. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, can I be honest here? I have never, ever gotten over the 94 crime bill. Because when it was written, I was like 20 years old or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or when they passed it. So for me, that was like the youth that they were talking about were out of control and all that stuff. I was the youth. So I just take personal affront at that. And if you know me, forgiving people is not what I do. Like, you talk about holding a grudge. Yeah. It's a personal flaw. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people that I forgave after they, pretty much like right before they returned to the ancestral realm. But anyway, now, he said, I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Again, let's stop right here. We lived through the collapse of the entire economy with Bush when Obama came in, and he gave the money to the crooks instead of giving the money to the people. You were the vice president. You were right there when he was making that decision. Did you say, hey man, you're giving money to the crooks and not to the people? I don't know if that's a good idea. No, you did not. See, again, President Gemini's are vengeful. Man, the negative stuff is very hard to forget. That's why, like, I'm reading this stuff and it's just bringing all this stuff back to me. Now I remember, like, yo, why do I just have this visceral hate for Joe Biden? Oh, yeah, that's why. All right, let me get through this letter, man. My bad. Let's see. We protected and preserved our democracy. What does that even mean? And we revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. No, you cowed down and bowed down to Israel. That's it. Yeah, like that's the only alliance you care about. Is being a complete and total slave of Israel in the most disgusting manner, where they're sitting around committing genocide, killed 200,000 people out of 2 million, so 10% of the population of an area, and you sent them the weapons. Like that right there is. I'm reading the letter. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, of course, because you've been running since 1988. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and my country to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of the term. I don't think you're capable of that. You're not capable of running. You're not capable of that. But I digress again. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. All right, cool. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust they have placed in me. I believe together what I always have. There's nothing America can't do. And when we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America. Joseph R. Biden. Okay, so that was the letter. Now, I'm gonna just be completely honest. This is just me. The commander-in-chief says he's a Zionist, but he's the commander-in-chief of the United States. I've found no way to how people can meld these two thoughts together. You say, I bet, yeah, me and Jeannie, we talked about it. When I looked at the title of my last show, I was like, well, who's going to show up to look at this show when literally we talked about this last? Well, not the last show, but the show before. Brother, yeah, don't even get me started on Kamala. I have a visceral dislike for her as well. So yeah, so that's the letter. That's what he wrote. Fine and dandy. But yeah, let's go back. Started with the medical condition, then he said he was sick. Let's see what this article says real quick. President Joe Biden said in an interview airing Wednesday that should his doctors tell him he had a quote unquote medical condition, he would consider leaving office and turning over power to Vice President Kamala Harris in the second term. Let's stop right there. That's weird writing. Because you know how this is written? This is written as if he's going to run and win and then leave. Right? Yeah, can y'all see that? Oh, I need to make that bigger. Because that was real. That is written weird. Y'all see that? All right. My bad. I'm tripping. Let me make it bigger for you. Y'all see how that's written? That's written real weird how they put it. They said, let's read it again. Said in an interview airing on Wednesday that should his doctors tell him he had a medical condition, he would consider leaving office and turning over power to Vice President Kamala Harris in a second term. This is not written like I will finish my term and I would not run for re-election. It's written like he's going to win and then turn it over. That's kind of weird how that's done. Or weirdly enough, like he's going to turn it over to her for her to try to run. I don't know. It's weird. If there had, this is crazy. They said that what he said, they said it's muffled. That means what he said was intelligible. If there had whatever, some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem and that problem, but I made a serious mistake in the whole debate, he told Ed Gordon. BET said, Ed Gordon still at BET? I didn't even know that. Okay. Anyway, my bad. The interview was done before the White House announced late Wednesday that Biden had tested positive for COVID-19, saying his symptoms were mild. Biden has now given several shifting reasons about what might make him decide to step aside. I just find that interesting. I don't know what's going on here. He told ABC News July 5th, after his poor debate performance, that only the Lord Almighty might get him to drop out of the presidential race. I guess the Lord Almighty came in the form of the hats that he worshiped. When ABC's George Stephanopoulos asked if you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down? He said, well, it depends on if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that. I might do that. The news conference a week ago, he said he would stay in the race unless his aides told him he had no chance to win a second term. No, unless they come back and said, there's no way you can win. No one is saying that. No poll says that, Biden told reporters. Also in the BET interview, Biden said, when I originally ran, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. I thought I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. And quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings is a little more wisdom, he said. And I think I've demonstrated I know how to get things done for the country, despite of the fact that we were told we couldn't get it done. But there's more to do, and I'm reluctant to walk away from that. On Tuesday, he wholeheartedly endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris, not only as a great vice president, but so great that she could be president of the United States, he said, while addressing the NAACP. Of course he said it while addressing the NAACP. Anyway, all right. So that is that, right? So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to play a clip covering this whole situation, and then I'll come back and we will deal with we'll see. No, what when we come back, we're going to deal with the 25th Amendment, because to me, if you can't run a campaign, can you run the presidency? So let me drop this clip, this news clip, and then we'll come back. All right.
President Joe Biden Sunday afternoon saying he's dropping out of the race for president, but will remain in office until the end of his term. The president posting a letter on X saying, quote, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term.
I think today we should focus on Joe Biden's incredible legacy of service to our nation, his selflessness, his accomplishments in his decades in the Senate.
In a separate post, he went on to say that he is endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee.
I fully support Kamala Harris. And in fact, she's been trained by the best. Joe Biden was a vice president himself, and so she probably had the best mentor.
The announcement following weeks of mounting concerns over Biden's stamina and age. Calls for him to depart the race came after a widely criticized debate performance hosted by CNN less than a month ago. The president said he will address the nation later this week. He's currently isolating at his home in Delaware after testing positive for COVID Wednesday, just before he was supposed to speak at an event in Las Vegas. The Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump, responding to the news on Truth Social, saying, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. It has been decades since a sitting president has decided not to seek re-election and drop out of the race. The last was Lyndon Johnson in 1968. At the White House, I'm Karen Kafa reporting.
President Biden today making the seismic decision to step out of the 2024 race for the White House, bringing an abrupt end to a half-century career in politics after a disastrous 90-minute debate raised serious questions about the 81-year-old's fitness for another term in office. In a statement posted on X, the president writing, quote, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." Mr. Biden then endorsed his vice president, Kamala Harris, for the nomination as the party scrambles to change course before next month's Democratic National Convention with just 4 months until the November election. One of the president's closest allies, Senator Chris Coons, reacting.
He has always put our country first. He has an incredible legacy of service and leadership.
In her own statement, Vice President Harris thanking the president for his service and his endorsement and saying it's her intention to earn and win this nomination and unite the Democratic Party. The news caps a tumultuous week, beginning with the attempted assassination of former President Trump, and after weeks of pressure from Democratic lawmakers increasingly anxious Mr. Biden could not defeat Mr. Trump. The former president slammed President Biden in an interview with NBC News as the race hits an historic reset.
I don't know. I think that's this scary part of it all, is that we just don't know what anything's going to happen.
Propelling the nation into unknown territory. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News. While President Biden has endorsed Vice President Harris, he cannot just hand her the delegates that he won during the primaries. They can still make their own choice. And while we've started to see a rush to back the vice president, someone else can still challenge for the nomination. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right. Now, let's see. All right. Let me look. Oh man. So it says you got ripped off, said if you ain't fit for re-election, you're not fit for the current term. Again, we're gonna go there, right? Sapo says we're gonna get to that. I'm not even gonna read that. We're gonna get to that. And Sis Fonda says she can't unite the Democratic Party. She didn't have what it takes to win her presidential run. All right, so let's talk about that, right? Because I'm gonna ask y'all what y'all think. Because I heard something this morning that had me like, wait, what? Well, not this morning, but earlier today. There is a name that has come up that neither myself, and at least not in our discussions, nor on the show last week, Brother Janie has said. Who do y'all think name came up that had me looking around like, you have got to be kidding? I'll give y'all a few minutes to pull this name out of a hat and see if y'all were paying attention or whatever. Because when I saw it, I was like, wait, who? What? Are y'all serious? All right, so let me get back to this article while I'm waiting on y'all to come up with a name. Let's see, where we at? Say, hold up in his Delaware shore home and still recovering from COVID. President Joe Biden on Saturday night began to come to terms with the end of his re-election bid. Biden has spent the last few days consulting with his senior aides, and they tried to identify a path to victory in November. Some people familiar with the matter, who were granted anonymity to describe the internal discussions. The president had remained insistent for weeks that he still was the best candidate to beat Donald Trump, even amidst mounting evidence that his support from Democratic lawmakers and voters alike was steadily deteriorating. Biden had been underestimated many times before, he said in public and private leading up to this weekend, and he planned to prove them wrong once again by staying in the race and winning re-election. But come Saturday evening, Biden indicated to a small clutch of close aides he'd be open to an alternative ending. Top advisors Mike Donnelly and Steve Ricchetti were present in Rehoboth for the discussions on ending Biden's campaign. The people said, along with Deputy Chief of Staff Annie Tomasini and Anthony Bernal, the senior advisor to First Lady Jill Biden. How is the First Lady's advisor making these type of decisions, or at least throwing her pot in to make these type of decisions? Let's see. Oh, hold up. We got a winner. I wasn't even. Sister Fonessa, you must have been paying attention. Hillary Clinton. ISP said Big Mike. Nope. I mean, at first I thought Big Mike too. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't plan to look at the Democratic convention. If they have an open convention and they let them fight it out, which I don't think they'll do because that's not in the plan. This will be, you talk about some entertainment. I'm not gonna lie, I've been low key hoping for a replay of 1968. I even thought about going, then I was like, wait a minute, that's Chicago. And so that ain't gonna happen. But yeah, I heard Hillary Clinton's name this earlier today, and I was like, there's no way. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea I don't know how she has gotten herself to this point. But never mind. No, never mind. She engineered. Never mind. I forgot. Yeah. Never mind. I forgot how she paid her dues. But you talk about people. I'm gonna be honest. As much as I don't like Kamala, Hillary Clinton is one of the most despicable people on earth. Like, man. All right, so let's get back to this. The decision set in a flurry of activity on Sunday. Biden separately phoned Vice President Kamala Harris, Chief of Staff Jeffrey Zients, and Campaign Chair Jen O'Malley Dillon to inform them. Then he held a call with other senior advisors at the White House and campaign just before publicly announcing plans to abandon his bid. Biden posted on X blindsided much of the rest of the staff at the White House and the campaign, who had gotten no indication he was reconsidering his run. Since then, man, I just lost my place completely. Let's see. Since then, blindsided the campaign, he got no indication. Since then, Zients had managed much of the communication across an anxious administration, holding calls Saturday afternoon with both the cabinet and senior White House staffers. Zients is scheduled to hold an all-staff White House call on Monday morning, as well as a call with appointees across the executive branch. Wait a minute. Y'all tell me, does that not sound like a takeover? They didn't say that Biden is going to have a call with all his appointed staff. They said Jeffrey Zients is going to have a call with his appointed staff, with Biden's appointed staff. I could not be more proud for President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and the American people alongside all of you, the best White House team in history, Zients said in an email to staff that was obtained by Politico. There's so much more to do, and as President Biden says, there's nothing America can't do when we do it together. All right. So, okay, this is just a takeover. It's just a question of who's the takeover for. Because based on that, series of events, how I'm reading them is the decision was finally made for him, which we knew it was going to happen. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? All right. Well, that was good to know. So, you got ripped off. You got to tell me that I'm rocking. I'm rolling without music here. Yeah, ready. That article was interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I find this stuff fascinating. Like the behind the scenes stuff. I know it's not the behind the scenes, but it makes me wonder, like, what other person made that call to say, hey, look here, man. Y'all remember Rocky 4, I think? Where they killed off Apollo Creed, that Rocky. Y'all remember when Adrian told him, you can't win? You know, that's what this reminds me of. He said, Safo said, watch out now. We got a super chat. He said, look, them folks, the tribe, Zionists, Jews officially run America. I mean, if Jeffrey Zients is doing all the work to tell people that the president is leaving, I mean, kind of hard to argue, you know? Like, someone made it, let's be honest, someone made the call for him. Someone told the president, you need to go sit down. Just think about that. The quote unquote leader of the free world was told to go sit down somewhere. And was interestingly enough, as we said before, if you can't run the campaign, how can you run the country? All right. Speaking of which, real quick, let's get into the 25th Amendment, because that will answer our questions. Let us go to our 25th Amendment. Presidential Disability Succession 25th Amendment. This is from the National Constitution Center. Hopefully they're not lying. Section 1 of the 25th Amendment says, in case of the removal of the president from the office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Let's stop right here. It says, in case of the removal of the president from office. Oh yeah, I just remember. How many people remember the TV show 24? Y'all remember when they removed the black president because they said he was incapable of, in essence, incapable of doing his job, although I don't really remember why. That was, I believe, season 2 of 24. Now, I went back and looked at like the first 2 seasons of 24. It was very eerie to watch those shows because you had chemical and biological warfare, you had a thwarted nuclear attack, you had attempted presidential assassinations. Like, think about this stuff. This show's 20 years old. Like, that show, the first 2 seasons of that show, except for the nuclear part, hopefully we don't get there, pretty much sums up this week. You know what I'm saying? like this week in American history has been the first 2 seasons of 24 without the nuclear attack. Now, we did have the weird tech outage, but hopefully, they're not going to run back the whole show. Y'all remember 24 was crazy. It's fine. That was Hulu. Hulu had, they still have it, as far as I know, anyway. So yeah, before I discontinued my Hulu, I was watching it on there. Now, Section 2. Whenever there's a vacancy in the office of the vice presidency, the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation, by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. So let us review, because I did digress. If the president cannot fulfill his office, which says in case of removal, which I guess that means the cabinet can remove him. right? The vice president becomes president, and then the vice president can designate who is the vice president, and then they will be voted upon by Congress. Section 3. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. So that is saying that the current president has to say to the Congress that they cannot do their duty, and until they are in writing say, I can do my duty, the vice president is acting president. Lastly, I think number 4 is the last one. It says whenever the vice president and the majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Okay, you're right. So in the TV show 24, this is how they did it. They went behind the black president's back, rounded up all the not the joint chiefs, the heads of the different departments of the executive branch, and they had a vote, and he lost the vote by 1. And then they didn't lock him up, but they did lock him up. They just locked him away while they tried to execute a war that would have started World War III. I can't believe it. My goodness. Yeah. Yeah, if you get a chance, not that I'm advertising for any streaming service, but you might really want to go back and look at the first 2 seasons. This is crazy. Okay, let's get back to the 25th. Wow. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and the majority of either the principal office of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit within 4 days to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is indeed unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for the purpose, if not in session. If the Congress within 21 days after the receipt of the latter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determined by 2/3 vote of both the House and the Senate of both houses, which means the House and the Senate, that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same act as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume the powers and duties of his office. So, all that means is that they could very well have simply taken the same people in this office. Zients could well have called the different department heads because he's actually having a meeting tomorrow. So this can still happen. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. All right, brothers and sisters. This can actually still happen. We just read he's having a meeting tomorrow with the different department chiefs. It is not necessarily, this thing isn't necessarily finished. There is a conceivable way that the Democrats could not only remove him from, he has already stepped down. They could conceivably decide tomorrow morning when they have this meeting to say that he is not capable of doing his duties as president and install Kamala Harris as president right now and thus have her run as an incumbent, which would allow her to choose her vice president, right? Who I already told you that if I'm a betting man, is Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who's the governor at the place where Trump was nearly assassinated. I just want y'all to take time to process the information that I have just put forth, because I'm processing it as I'm reading it. So, as much of a surprise as everybody acted like this was that Biden stepped down, it's not outside the realm of possibility that tomorrow or later this week we're in for an even bigger surprise. Now, y'all tell me what y'all think. Would that be all right? Because here's the thing, and I saw somebody say something about playing the long game. It's conceivable that the calculation is made by the hats that pulling the same shenanigans again is too difficult. In which case, you do that, you remove Biden, you let Kamala run as the incumbent, you let her lose, and then that clears the way for Shapiro the next time around, and then you don't have to worry about it, because you can then have the first ever Jewish president, and he can pick somebody else, whoever he wants to run with him. Like, the machinations that I'm thinking about right now are wild. Brother Kevin said the Democrats basically pulled a coup d'etat. Not yet, but they can. They can. So, I mean, there's so many ways this thing can go, because once they do the Hillary Clinton thing out there, I'm just like, that would just be crazy. But if Hillary Clinton, here's what's all right, man. I'm wondering if they're just throwing up smoke signals, because I heard that the Clintons are backing Kamala, but the Obamas aren't, which I found weird, because I had read earlier, before all of this, that Michelle Obama was working to make this happen to get Kamala as the nominee. So I'm gonna be honest, it's so much happening that even I'm having trouble reading it, because I'm really wondering, are they like, is there even, because this is something that happens that we don't think about, like, we don't know because we don't see it. We tend to think that whenever they make these plans, everybody's in agreement, and then things, they implement. But when things don't go the way they're supposed to go, I don't care what organization or structure you have, when things don't go right, you have a tendency for people to start saying, well, we did it your way last time and that didn't work. And then you see what I'm saying? So as much as there could be a disagreement amongst, quote unquote, the Democratic Party, the money people behind the Democratic Party, which we know mostly, though maybe not completely, but mostly has, they may be having discussions behind the scenes as far as, because they control the money. So if they say, yeah, well, because think about it, this is what they did. This is what they did to Biden. They literally said, well, if y'all run him, I'm not paying for it. Right? That's the thing that got the Democrats scrambling. The donors were like, look, we don't think he can win. We don't feel like, we don't feel like spending the money that it takes to make him win. However you think that money will be spent. So we're not going to give you money. And then they said that his money went down like 75%. I mean, in America nowadays, in 21st century America, the money does the talking in politics. Because, of course, back to what I said about the Koch brothers having that lawsuit. Now, according to the Supreme Court, money is speech. So you talking about freedom of speech, you talking about freedom to spend money in elections. All right? So I'm not going to lie. I find all of this fascinating, and I will be paying attention. All right? And Real Black Gentleman says, let's say Trump versus Hillary in 24 isn't the same as Trump versus Hillary in 16. Yeah, I think it's even a more of an uphill battle for two. I just can't see. I can't see the Hillary thing. Maybe I'm just blind and biased. It just seems like if they roll out Big Mike and say Big Mike won, I can see it. But here's the thing. All right, let me get to this aspect of it, because I'm really thinking why I'm thinking about all this stuff while I'm talking to you all. That's why I haven't gone to any other articles. Here's the reality for Black people. I know a lot of people gonna hate this. With everything that's going on with Trump, if Trump survives to the closer it gets to the election, and the more it looks like Trump is going to win. Well, number one, if anything happens to Trump, it's going to be horrible for Black people, because I'm just be completely honest. White people are going to go buck wild. We see that now, because they already done turned him into a superhero with him, you know what I'm saying, ducking out the way the last time. And from what I saw, because I was watching stuff today, and they started talking about the Kamala Harris thing, and I'm looking, and then they're like, yeah, because Black people helped Kamala win last time. Well, here's the problem with that narrative. According to I ain't gonna say a vast majority, according to a significant number, right, wrong, or indifferent, of people. And again, I was here in DC, I was working overnight, and I was checking this stuff as it was going on. Trump had that election won, to the point that I stopped paying attention, went back like 2 hours later at like 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and then he wasn't winning. And I was like, I'm looking around like, what happened? How is that possible? Because I'm like, we already knew California was going for, like the West Coast stuff. That stuff was already calculated, so it wasn't like, oh, California came in and switched. Like California was blue, all that stuff was blue. I literally remember just while other people were asleep, I was working. There were other people there with me that were working. We had the TVs blasting and everything. People walking back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And because DC is a political city, like there were even, depending on where you are, there were even bars that were just open because people were there. I remember like Republicans, like different people, you can tell when people aren't from DC, and you can tell when people are political people and stuff like that. Like Republican people were cheering, and like we got this thing in a bag. They were cheering when the different states would come up. This state's been declared for Trump, and they were hooping and hollering. And I was like, oh man, I'm about to go buck wild. They get ready to tear the city up, celebrating. That's what I was thinking. I was like, and then he's like, they start stumbling home drunk and taking their Ubers or whatever. and the city got kind of quiet, and then next thing you know, Biden had won. Like, that's literally how I experienced it. So to tell these people that lived through that, right, that Kamala Harris, who they've been telling us, the media been telling us that nobody likes her, right? Like, they've been saying it so much that I'm like, is she that insufferable? Like, how bad can it be? I don't like her, but I'm wondering, like, why they keep saying that? To say that she's going to beat Mr. Trump, or Hillary that already lost to him is going to beat him, and you think those people? I showed y'all the clip last time with the people saying, I don't know, if he loses this time, it might be civil war. You think those people are going to sit down and, hey, maybe they will, but I'm just be honest, here's my concern. My concern is that those people will wake up the day after an election that Trump should have in the bag, if he survives that long, and go buck wild on the people that they always blame. Who now? Let's put this in the chat. Whenever, historically speaking, large numbers of white people feel like something has been done wrong to them, who do they blame, regardless of even if they even think those people did it? Y'all let me know in the chat, who are the people that always get blamed? And I see our numbers have gone up. Welcome to the center, DC Radical 1. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at DC Radical _ONE, on OTW free speech platform at DC Radical 1. If you're enjoying the discourse, you can donate via Cash App at $DC Radical 1, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Also, if you like your message read, you can send a super chat as well. Now, you guys ripped off said, yeah, they're going to blame the Negroes. And that's my concern, is that some type of way, if Trump doesn't win, some type of way it's going to be black people's fault. I don't know how they're going to finesse that. Well, I mean, I'm tripping. Y'all going to laugh at me. Because to me, she's not black. I'm not even thinking about the fact that they just going to say, oh, well, all the Negroes voted for Kamala and they rigged the election, and so it's their fault. So let's go beat up random Negroes. I mean, I would like to be wrong, but that's how I see it coming. Now, they roll out Hillary, which is just crazy to me that I'm even talking about it. I don't know how they're going to blame black people, but they're going to blame black people. Here's the good part, right? The narrative about black men voting for Trump and liking Trump is already out here. I'm not even telling anybody to vote for Trump, but I'm saying the perception that there is a divide in the black community and that we're not monolithically behind the Democrats is beneficial in that it helps to dispel the narrative. Should what we think happen, and they flip it over and Trump doesn't win. Or another thing that, and Brother Jeannie, we talked about this, having something happening to Trump and then black people being out here celebrating. That's not a good look. That is not beneficial at all. Because if something happens to Trump, they're going to take that harder than if he loses the election. And they already talking about civil war if he loses the election. So what do you think they're going to do if something happens to him? And some type of way black people get blamed, which, of course, I don't know how, but doesn't even matter, does it? So I'm just saying, I've said all that to say we're in a very precarious time for black people and for the nation as a whole. Because I was talking to Brother Jeannie, he was talking to somebody, and they were saying that there's still this black crime narrative, as if black people are just running around, just beating up and doing all types of things to white people. Now, this is something that's going on in conservative circles, so I haven't seen it. But again, people don't understand the algorithm. The algorithm gives you more of what you see, what you look at. The more you look at something, the more of it you get, right? Because the algorithm assumes that's what you want to see. And YouTube has gotten to the point where if you start scrolling and it looks like you're not satisfied with anything and you about to click it off, it's like, would you like to see something different? First time I saw that, I said, oh, wait a minute, hold up, this is crazy. So, yeah, brothers and sisters, if you're in America, it is. Yeah, we a rough time. Brother Kevin said the Negro political pundits who bend over for Democrats will be the reason white folks are going to. Yeah. The Roland Martins. The what's his name? Van Jones up there crying. Joy Reid out here looking crazy with her. Man, somebody help that sister out with some hair care products. She just be out here looking she's been struggling with her hair ever since she's been on television. Cause she had her hair dyed blonde or something. I just saw her. She was just looking. She was out here looking crazy. I was like, what is happening right now? Shout out to Joy Reid. I don't like to talk about her sister like that, but she be like the rant she be on. I was like, it's like she's turned into the black Rachel Maddow, and that's not a compliment. And y'all know I can't stand roly poly. Anyway, and y'all know I can't stand y'all know I despise Martha Montiel. Oh man. Anyway, now that I finished disparaging various Negroes, I do have other articles here. But I wanted to be off of here I wanted to be out of here between 9:30 and 9:45. So that was the 25th Amendment. Let's go to Miss Harris. Remember this from the Des Moines Registry in Iowa, going all the way back 2019 August. Kamala Harris on reparations for slavery. It can't just be, hey, write some checks. Who are these people? Anyway, U.S. Senator Kamala Harris says she supports setting reparations, but she's not sure what any resultant program looks like. The senator from California and Democratic presidential hopeful, we know how that turned out, said Sunday during a Des Moines Register editorial board meeting that the idea, which would grant compensation to individuals impacted by enslavement and racial discrimination, is complex and deserves to be examined thoroughly. Let's stop right here. I've been hearing people talk about studying slavery for at least 3 decades now. Did anybody, again, they still digging up people and bringing them before court about the Holocaust. Did anybody have to study that? In fact, people have not studied it so much that when people study it, people in Germany who have studied it and said, this story isn't quite correct, they've been locked up. So I don't even know what they found or why, what their objection was to the official story, but they studied it and got locked up. Here, everybody in the world knows that black people were enslaved. Like no one, except for a few Negroes. No one disputes that. Few Negroes that think they're Indians, they dispute it, but other than those Negroes, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. White people don't deny it. Jewish people tried to deny their hand in it, and then they stopped debating that to the point that they eventually took and put the secret relationship between blacks and Jews in college libraries. Only Negroes want to deny it. And then she says it's worth studying. They'll be studying it till after I'm gone, which means they will have been studying it all of my life and ad nauseum into infinity. But I digress. This stuff needs to be studied because America needs a history lesson, to be honest about it. And we need to study it in a way that we are having very comprehensive and fact-based conversation about policies and the connection between those policies and harm if we're going to have productive conversation. It can't just be, hey, write some checks, right? Harris added that money alone won't address systemic inequality in housing, education, healthcare, and the criminal justice system. If we're talking about writing a check, I don't think it's that simple, she said. And frankly, I don't support an idea or notion that after all this, we're going to say, okay, I'm going to write you a check and then be quiet, because that won't solve the problem, which is systemic issues that are present and will continue to exist whether or not we write a check. So I'm just saying it's not just that simple. I don't buy into that argument that it is. Let's start right here. Can we be completely honest? Can we be completely honest? If you actually reimburse Black people for enslavement in the manner in which it should be done based upon the studies that we've already done, trust me, taking the people out of poverty and then having them have access to large amounts of wealth will change the system, which is why nobody wants to do it, right? And just be completely honest, people are opposed to it because that amount of money changes the system. Because remember, we're talking about politics here, and what did I just say? Money is speech. Why are the small hats able to determine who's running for the Democratic Party and able to bring up somebody like J.D. Vance out of nowhere and have him all of a sudden he's be vice president? It's because of the money. So her argument is ridiculous on its face. And monetary debts must be paid in money, and blood debts must be paid in blood. And we're going to have both if we're going to have an equitable solution to this problem. But we heard or we read what she said there, but y'all know me, we're going to see what she said previously because she has spoken on that more comprehensively than she spoke on it there. But what we're going to do is we're going to hear from Miss Harris herself.
Or reparations for Black people.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country, right?
Y'all heard it, right? I'm never going to stop playing that clip. Because one minute you said reparations needs to be studied, and next thing you said is I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. So the question becomes, were you lying then, or are you lying now? At what point was you lying? Because those two statements are contradictory, right? So if anyone thinks that they're going to get something beneficial just for Black people because Ms. Harris, she has vociferously denied that that is the case. You know, she's done it with great alacrity, so that there's no doubt and that there can be no confusion in that case. So, my bad. Music, please. Back to our music. I just wanted us to remember, you know, that statement from Miss Harris. Y'all know me. I already said it. I'm not letting it go. I'm not ever going to forget. Right? By the way, that LIFT Act, does anybody know, has anything happened with that? Because she said that I'm trying to see if there's anything else significant happened while I'm talking. She said that you know, tax credit, blah blah blah. And you know, I've been around so long that I remember when tax credits were a Republican talking point and a Republican policy. And like Democrats used to condemn Republicans for tax breaks because they weren't beneficial for people equally. And now we're at the point where the Democrats are talking about using a Republican solution. So when people talk about the uniparty and two birds, two wings on the same bird and all that, that's why. Like I've been around long enough that even though I was a child, I remember the whole Reaganomics thing. I remember when George Bush Sr. called Reaganomics, which basically was, you know, implementing the policies of Milton Friedman, you know, supply side economics. He said that that was quote unquote voodoo economics. And if you know white people, you know they hate voodoo for a very good reason. So what's interesting to me is that no president or no presidential candidate has opposed and reversed or come with a policy different than economic policy outside of the Milton Friedman framework that Reagan put us in 44 years ago. Right? I bet if you asked any presidential candidate that's been running over the last 8 years, however many people that is, and probably including Kennedy, and with the exception, probably weirdly enough, of some third party candidate, maybe like a Jill Stein, which I have problems with her because she's Jill Stein. If you ask them, why are we continuing to do variations of the economic policies placed by Ronald Reagan 44 years ago? Why haven't we stepped outside that paradigm? I bet you they don't have an intelligent answer. I bet if you ask people why we continue to support Israel when simply removing our support from Israel could just pretty much remove most of the United States problems in the quote unquote Middle East. Why they refuse to do that, I bet you also will not get the real answer. I bet they'll have trouble coming up with an intelligent answer. Right? So one of the issues with the American political process is that they don't even allow thought outside of this framework that's been in place for 40 years. You can't even say, maybe we should do something different here because we've been doing this for 40 years and it doesn't work. Right? Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. And this is one of the reasons why they don't like Trump, brother, to your point. The United States military, in essence, maintains the military power of NATO and Israel. And without that, these people are virtually helpless. If you remove nuclear weapons from Israel, which President John F. Kennedy tried to stop them from getting nuclear weapons, you see how that turned out. But I digress. You remove those from Israel, Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and various other fighters can take out Israel. If you just leave it to a one-on-one, just ground war. Oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a fight. But the religious fervor that they can draw up to get other people to join that, they can take Israel literally and remove them off. Right? I mean, Hezbollah basically cleared out large part of northern Israel like a month ago. Nobody even talked about it. So the United States is very much like propping up House of Cards. The idea that without nukes, the idea that Western Europe, without the United States backing, could just roll over Russia is laughable. And NATO talks like that. I'm like, but they talk like that on one hand, but then as soon as NATO leaves from their meeting, Trump is ducking bullets 5 minutes after the planes take off. I find that interesting, coincidental. Because he's been like, well, if they don't want to pay that money, then we'll just leave. But they passed along Congress that he can't leave because they knew he was talking like that. He doesn't realize, Brother Jeannie talked about it, that him talking like that is making his Jewish benefactors look at him like, yeah, I don't know what you think you're saying, but that's not in our playbook, buddy. Better get with the program. So on one end, it's crazy because when people are like, this is the most important election, it's so weird because what the outcome has to look believable. And something happening to Trump or Trump losing could tear the country apart and send us on the road to World War III at the same time, which is crazy, but I don't see any way around that. At the same time, putting Trump in office and having J.D. Vance behind him it just is a circular way for them to get what they want. Because Vance's benefactor, I don't know if his benefactor is a hat. I'm just gonna say some of the stuff he does is very like he's like a Bill Gates almost. Not as y'all know Bill Gates is fitness. He's just Bill Gates psychopath. I don't care what nobody says. Because no one works as hard to find a way to destroy people as Bill Gates. Like he doesn't take any days off. Right? But let me see. Is this it? Yeah. Speaking real quick. totally change the subject. I want to talk about, all right, we talked about JD Vance last time. Let's go here. This one, let's see. It says, whoops, my bad. JD Vance, wait, let me go all the way. It says with JD Vance as VP, Peter Thiel would finally have Trump right where he wants him, right? So that's an article, right? But then when you go to JD Vance, it says Peter Thiel appeared to meet with Jeffrey Epstein, report says. He's the latest billionaire with Epstein ties. Says billionaire PayPal and Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel may have had multiple meetings with the late convicted offender, billionaire pedo Jeffrey Epstein, almost a decade ago, the New York Times reported Thursday. Another addition to a growing list of billionaires with connections to Epstein. The Times reviewed emails from Epstein's assistant indicating he was set to meet with Thiel at least 3 times in September of 2014, including private and group meetings. The two men initially planned to have lunch on one day in mid-September of 2014, but it was later switched to a dinner involving Thiel, Epstein, Woody Allen, and other guests. Let's stop right here. Peter Thiel, who is JD Vance's benefactor, who is Donald Trump's vice presidential pick, was meeting with Jeffrey Epstein and Woody Allen. Now, what do we know Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein for? Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, just a known underage girl purveyor. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how to say it for YouTube. They, selling young women to old men, in essence. Right? That's what he's known for. What is Woody Allen known for? Somebody's gonna say Woody Allen's known for directing movies. Yeah, he's also known for marrying his adopted daughter. I don't know how old Woody Allen was, because he's been famous seemingly as long as I've been alive. Him and his wife, Mia Farrow, adopted a girl from somewhere in Asia. I'm not sure where she's from. And then next thing you know, like soon as she turned like 18 or 19, Woody Allen married her. He divorced his whole adult grown wife, right? And married his daughter. And Jeffrey Epstein is known for handing or selling underage girls to people like Woody Allen. And Jeffrey Epstein, as we know, is no secret. We know he's Jewish. Woody Allen is as Jewish as you can get, because if you ever seen any of his movies, you're trying to figure out the weird humor, it's a New York Jewish thing. And Peter Thiel, who's worth $8 billion, was meeting with these two gentlemen. Now, was he meeting with them about money, movies, underage people, or what? I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not too many subjects that you talk with them about. In addition to that, Peter Thiel just recently married a man. Right? Now, what I'm gonna do, and the only reason I told y'all last time, I said I'm gonna look into him a little bit. And as the election goes on, I'm going to continue to look into him. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play this clip so y'all can see this interview, and we can see how much influence, because I had no idea how much influence this guy has in the Republican Party. So, I'm gonna pause that, and we're gonna check out Peter Thiel in his own words.
Duality for a little bit, because this isn't something that you talk about that often. We've talked about it privately a little bit. Well, first off, you're married. Congratulations, you got married in the last year. How much of your sort of contrarian view of the world, just the way you see things differently, do you think is linked to being gay? Because before just the last couple of years, where I think being gay has been so attached to leftism, gay used to mean fun or different or politically incorrect and making edgy jokes and being at subversive clubs or all of these other things, whatever it was. And gays were really about the individual. That was the whole point. You now are sort of, as I said at the top, kind of the ultimate contrarian. And I wonder, is there a link between that and sexuality, do you think?
I wouldn't want to exaggerate any such link. And I think, I think of myself as like there was sort of, I'm always bad at autobiography, so I'll start with that as a qualifier. But I always think of myself as somehow I was both a total insider and a total outsider. So it's like, straight A student, on the elite university, elite law school, elite law firm track. I was a bit of a nerd. I was, I was born in Germany, sort of immigrant to the U.S. The gay thing, sort of all these ways that I was sort of both an outsider and insider, and probably there's some way all this stuff, summed up to make me less prone to just believing in the received wisdom. But I would certainly not want to say anything remotely like that gay people have a privileged access to the truth or anything like that. That seems kind of crazy.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, you go to the Republican National Convention and you talked about being gay, which had always been anathema over there. What was the exact line that you had said?
Well, it was, I'm proud to be gay, I'm proud to be a Republican, but most of all, I'm proud to be an American. And so it was, and so I think it functioned in both a way that, every American has an identity. It's not something we should ignore or totally diminish, and we should not make it all important. And it was sort of trying to steer a certain, middle course on identity politics, where it's, and I think it's very easy to go too far in one direction or another. You can say that, that all identity is fake. It doesn't matter. It's all made up, and I think that's wrong. I think there's an African American experience, there's a female experience, there's a gay experience, and they are different. And then of course there's an equally bad mistake of making it all important, where that's all there is, that's what defines you, and then it ends up becoming more of a straitjacket. So the gay metaphor that I've used is that you can be in the closet, you can be in the ghetto, and they're mutually exclusive, but I hope they're not exhaustive. That there's something in between.
Right, because those two are pretty exhaustive.
Or something that's neither of those two.
Yeah, so when you said that line...
I don't want to be in the closet, I don't want to be in the ghetto.
Yeah, so when you said that line and then got that ovation, first off, were you nervous to say that line? Because that's no small feat, just to have it in the speech and ready to go and land it.
You were nervous to speak, it was just, it was like speaking to 15,000 people or whatever. It's kind of a strange, super adrenaline type experience.
Yeah, but that particular line, I mean, when you got the applause on that, there must have been some part of you that was like, it worked, or something has changed, or something like that.
Yes, although I don't think the Republicans are that anti-gay. I don't think they're that anti-gay.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I mean, I think maybe they were in the past, but it was clear that this was not the issue. This was not the hill they wanted to die on in 2016, and so somebody had to say it.
All right. Now, he did something, and y'all can hear me right. He did something I despise. This narrative came from one group of people. that the melding of blackness to homophilia, that's been going on for a while, and I despise it. Every time I hear it, y'all notice he did that, and he did that. He said he did it at the Republican National Convention, and then he said, "Oh well, the guy what was that? The Rubin Report." So y'all know what that is. He went on okay, hold up. All right, check it. Let's run it back. You have a man that's worth $8 billion. He is not an American. I mean, I guess he's an American citizen, but he was born in Germany. His family moved to South Africa, right? If y'all don't know about South Africa. Then he comes to America. He goes to the most prestigious schools. He ends up going to Stanford. He was nobody. And then he gets some money. And I'm gonna do a whole video. Once I start digging, I'm gonna do a whole I'm gonna do a radical report on him. And he makes all this money in the .com, gets into PayPal and some other stuff. And now he's basically helped fund the Republicans not being part of family values and all that stuff that they were a part of before. So they're not even standing on nothing. Because if the Republicans are not against things that they claim are against family values, and the Democrats are obviously just 100% LGBT, then how is J.D. Vance claimed that he was influenced by Peter Thiel to be more conservative and to stand for American values, when part of American values, whether we want to say it or not, from a conservative perspective, is the family? Like, somebody lying. And he's married to another man, and then they have children. I mean, they adopted somebody else's children, which I need to find out whether or not those children are black, because we know how that goes. This man is the kingmaker in the Republican Party at this time. And even though I heard of him, his place in the Republican Party, I did not, because I wasn't paying attention to Republican politics, being completely honest. Which means if I don't know, black people don't know. Everybody's talking about what the Heritage Foundation is doing, and I understand why. But we got to pay attention to the kingmakers when they expose themselves and they come out. And if it wasn't for me looking into J.D. Vance, I wouldn't have really looked at this dude and really seen how connected he was. So I don't know. And Protect Black Children says he's a narcissistic psychopath. Wouldn't be the first time. But the fact that you got the Republican kingmaker as a known Epstein associate is not good news for anybody, because one of the things that many Republicans have said they want to do is stop what's going on at the border, because they're saying that human trafficking and child trafficking is happening because of that. So right now, this is just total insanity. So if somebody asks me, well, who you gonna vote for? I mean, it's a matter of whether or not you like Beelzebub or Satan. I would say the best thing black people can do in this case, which is completely against how politics is supposed to work, is for us to stand on both sides. This is one time where appearing divided is beneficial to us, because we can't be blamed for whoever loses if we appear divided. If we all stand on the Democrat side and they flip this election, black people are going to definitely be blamed, and they're going to be chasing us down the middle of the Times Square with ropes and pitchforks and tiki torches. It's gonna be 1875 or whatever, whenever they ended the what was that, 1877? They ended they took the federal troops out the South and implemented Jim Crow. We're gonna be back to that. Like, I don't know why black people don't think we can't get back to that. Like, listen. I mean, people still being shot down by police now. The only difference is this will be way worse because regular people just gonna be acting a fool. Right? So, I think I'm getting ready to close this out again. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dcradical_ONE, on OTWTube at dcradical1. You enjoy the discourse, you can support via Cash App, $ dcradical1, and you can email me at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. So, as I said, I will be back on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and Thursday night probably either 9 or 10. I'm not sure which, because my idea is to have the show actually for 10 when I do it regularly, but I may just try it out at 9 first, because that means staying up to 11 probably. So I don't even know how I feel about that. Brother said, before you go, tell the people some topics for the relationship programs. Well, this Thursday, right now, my idea is just put the question on the table: can black love survive in 21st century America? Can straight black love survive in 21st century America? That's what this Thursday's program is going to be about. I haven't laid out the topics yet, and I may, what I probably do is put a presentation together for that, like, quick PowerPoint, and then the week after, depending on how that's received, the next week after that, I may have somebody on, or a couple of people. I gotta see. A panel. But that will be a show. The relationship show will be a show where I have more panels, and I'll have more, like, if people want to come on and contribute or ask a question or whatever, I will put the link in the chat and do it like that. So that will be totally different from how the center is. So that's how that'll work, bro. So yeah, I'm working on that now. We're just gonna see how that works. Everything with that is tentative, other than the fact that we're gonna do it this Thursday and see how it works. So with that, brothers and sisters, and others, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We will be back on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. I'm not sure the topic yet. I'll let you all know. Look for it on Instagram, and of course you'll get the notification as soon as I set up the program. So that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you know some people that need to subscribe, please get them to subscribe, because we are almost up to 900. And once we get to 900, I'm going to count down from there, because of course our goal is to get monetized or get deleted trying. So again, thank you all. With that, I say a BB for ODA and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A big for ODA and straight black pride.